What if you could help the planet, improve your health, beautify your neighborhood, and fight crime just by plocking? I was walking my dogs in our neighborhood park the other day, and two little girls came up to me and asked if they could pet the dogs, and I said, of course. And then they showed me a treasure they had found. Do you remember when you were little and you used to walk around and find treasures on the ground? Well, they found this treasure and they wanted me to look at it and tell them what it was. It was a small cardboard tube and there was a label on it, and I read some things I couldn't understand, but also I read the word marijuana, so I knew it was from a marijuana dispensary. And so I told them, I think this is from a marijuana dispensary and you should probably throw this away. And so they thanked me and they went running to their moms who were walking a short distance away. And I heard their mom say, "Drop that on the ground. Don't pick stuff up from the ground." And I felt terrible for a couple of reasons. First of all, the girls were curious. They found this treasure and they wanted to show it to their moms, but also there was a trash can not far away. And what were the moms really teaching them? What opportunity was lost here? So that experience inspired me to start something I've been thinking about for quite some time. And I actually got this idea from 𝗪𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗜𝗡𝗚, who is a wonderful comedian and author and a celebrity. And he used to jog in England in his neighborhood. And while he jogged, he would pick up litter. And he called that plogging. So I thought, why not have something called plocking, where when you go for a walk, you pick up litter. And so plocking was born.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
In this video, we're going to talk about why plocking is a simple but powerful habit that can help you help the environment and even fight crime. And we're going to talk about environmental psychology. Yes, it's really a thing. And maybe working together, we really can make plocking happen. As you know, walking itself is great for the body, the mind, the spirit, and it requires no special equipment. But when you combine walking with plocking, you're not only doing something great for you, you're helping the environment. And it's much more powerful than that. The broken window theory says that disorder and incivility in neighborhoods is linked to subsequent occurrences of serious crimes. New York City tested this theory in the 1990s, and they found that taking care of small crimes like litter and, not paying when you go through the turnstile actually reduced felonies by 40%. And studies by environmental psychologists find that when people see litter, they're more likely to litter themselves because they think it's socially acceptable. And the psychological impact of seeing litter, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, is subtle but significant. Our minds are constantly processing information, and even when something like litter doesn't rise to the level of conscious awareness, it can still influence our emotional state, behavior, and cognitive functioning. This is due to the way our brains are wired to respond to environmental cues, often at an unconscious level. Litter, as an indicator of disorder and neglect, can make us feel uneasy or stressed without fully recognizing it. When you pick up litter, you're not just improving your surroundings. You're setting an example for anyone who might see you plocking. And while they may not do that themselves, they may start thinking, wow, if they can do that, what should I be doing? What can I be doing to contribute? Another finding by environmental psychologists is that when there were a pair of eyes, even on a sign, so like a pair of visual of eyes, people didn't litter as much there. It was like they knew they were being watched. Somehow they believed they were being watched by seeing this pair of eyes. So just by your being there, You are the pair of eyes, and it's doubtful that anyone would litter if they were seeing you picking up litter. I was once parked at the drive-through lane at my credit union, and I was in a convertible, and the woman in front of me was smoking a cigarette, and so her smoke was blowing right into my face. I don't love cigarette smoke, but you know, whatever, you gotta put up with that. But then she flicked her cigarette out her window, and I just said, "Hey, that's littering." And she turned around and said, "Oh, like you never litter." And that really shocked me because I don't litter. I don't litter. I make it a habit never to litter. It doesn't even cross my mind to litter. But that was her mindset. And so there are people out there who think that it's okay to litter. So it's up to the rest of us to set a good example. You might think, can plocking really make a difference? It's a small thing, but it's part of what could become a collective effort. You could be making a huge difference in your community. Not only does plocking help the environment, it helps you. You're outside getting exercise. And there's a sense of accomplishment. When you've finished your walk, your plock, and seeing what you picked up and that's no longer trashing up your neighborhood, it feels really good. So this is a bucket of what I picked up just on a 25-minute walk in my neighborhood. So going back to those little girls in the park for a moment, what if instead of dismissing their curiosity or chastising them for picking something up off the ground, what if we taught them how important it is to be stewards of their environment? Wouldn't it be a great lesson for the next generation? For a successful plocking session, you just need a few pieces of equipment. Good walking shoes, gloves if you want, or a picker, which I prefer, and a bucket or a bag, a reusable bag. I prefer the bucket because you can wash it out and reuse it. And also, if it's windy, it's much easier to put trash in a bucket than it is to try to find that opening in the bag. I used to run a beach cleanup on Maui, and I found that the buckets were much better in the trade winds than little bags. So 2 quick tips for plocking is bring music. It makes all the difference. And then also you may want to challenge yourself. If you want to walk a little further, just tell yourself, I'm not going to turn around until this bucket is at least half full or full, however long you want to walk. And consider organizing a neighborhood plocking event or start a meetup group that's all about plocking. It's a great way to get people together for a great cause. In addition to plocking, look for Solve It events. They have regular events in different locations, and it's a volunteer cleanup effort. That's kind of how I first got into this. I was on Maui and I went to a Solve It cleanup event for Kahului Harbor, which gets a lot of trash because of the way the waves come in and its location. It gets disgusting. And so I was part of the Solve It effort, and when we started, you couldn't put your hand down on the beach without touching a piece of plastic or trash. And when we finished, it was hard to find any. And it was just so rewarding to do something like that I went to the Solve It organizer and I said, "When's the next one?" And she said, "Next year." And I'm like, next year? I enjoyed this. I want to do it again. And so that's how we ended up starting a beach cleanup group on Maui. Here's some pictures of my beach cleanup group. We also had water people too who would search the ocean along the shore. Look at all that fishing line they collected in just one day. And because I ran this meetup group, I met this lovely couple who were actually on Maui on vacation, and they saw my meetup announcement and came to help me one day at one of the beach cleanups. The woman, Sarah, said to me the same thing I said to 𝗪𝗱 people. When's the next one? Well, it wasn't for 2 weeks and they would be gone by then. So she asked if we could do it again the next day. So we did, just the 3 of us. This couple happened to be from Oregon, which is where I'm originally from. And we became friends, and when my son and I moved back to Oregon, we went to their organic farm and had some of their wonderful produce, and we've got together with them since. Now that you know all about plocking, I challenge you, the next time you go for a walk, don't just walk, plock. It can be so much fun. And now, meet the plockers! Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Let me know in the comments, have you ever tried plocking? Have you ever found treasures? I'd love to hear your stories. And do you think we can make plocking happen? Please subscribe, join in the fun of fearless, fabulous community, and I'll see you next time.